Good morning and welcome to the Sunroom. I am Scott Bedgood and this is Scott Bedgood's Sunroom Story Time. We may have some newer listeners today because I have gone viral. Well, at least viral for me. I don't know. If someone's really famous, they get these kind of numbers on videos all the time, but I'm not there yet. So I had a video go crazy on Instagram and TikTok, um, and then a follow up video that did pretty well as well. And yeah, you guys I might be too big for this podcast now. This podcast that I created, that I film in my own house, that I do for myself, I might be too big for it, if you know what I mean. No. But we are going to talk about that today because there's some interesting background to the video, and I wanted to go through the comments. I got a lot of comments. A lot of them are very annoying, and I didn't want to respond to them in the comments section because I'll explain later why I don't want to do that. So I'm responding to them here and giving you some background and just kind of talking you through what it is like when something like this kind of blows up, how it changes things and all of that. I just think it's really interesting background, and we're going to talk about that today. And I don't know how long it's going to be. There might be a lot of cuts because I'm going to be reading comments, but I think it'll be pretty fun. But I do want to say I am selling shirts. I had the shirt on in that video, my Scott Bedgood comedy shirt. I am actually going to put a picture up this time. Last week I said I was going to put a picture up, and I didn't. So there's a picture right here, I promise. If you want those shirts, they are $25 for podcast listeners if you mention you heard about it on the podcast. Otherwise, they're $35. I can ship them for $10 extra. And I am running out of my first order, so I'm doing another order. I've sold almost all 50 of my first order, which is really exciting. And then I also have shows coming up. So this Friday, June 26th, Carrollton, Georgia. That's in West Georgia at the Carver Event Center. I am headlining Crystal Williamson, a local, I say a local influencer. She is an influencer who lives in the area, and she's probably very used to the numbers that I'm seeing on videos because she has like almost 1 million followers on Facebook. She's hosting, incredible following she has. And then Mookie G from Atlanta, he is featuring, and then hopefully we'll have a special guest. Still waiting on confirmation on that, but we'll let you know. July 9th at the Comedy Catch here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, I am hosting for Brian Bates of the Public Figures / Nate Land podcast. Very excited about that. July 10th, I'm headlining in Mount Juliet, Tennessee at Billy Goat Coffee. So get your tickets to that. That's going to be really awesome. Bryn Daniels and Jay Flake are doing that one with me. Really excited about that. And then the biggest deal of all, Mic Drop Plano, Texas, Dallas-Fort Worth area. I'm headlining that club. That's a huge club, 300-seater. I really, really, really want to sell it out. I know tickets are moving, but we got to get them moving even more. Really excited about that one, so please get your tickets to those. But let's get into our story today, which is less of a story and more of me talking about how annoying people are on the internet. So let's get into Scott Bedgood's Sunroom Storytime, story number 14. So the easiest thing to do is I'm going to play the video that I made last week here in the sunroom on the other side of the sunroom, and then we'll talk about it. So here's the video.
Hey, who's playing in the World Cup the next couple of days?
We've got Scotland versus Al Maghrib. We have Brazil versus Haiti. We have Türkiye versus Paraguay.
What countries are those?
Man, we're just using the names of the countries, the official names of the countries that they call themselves. That's how it works. It's always worked this way. So I'm just going to go down the official names of all the countries for the games coming up. So we have Koninkrijk der Nederlanden versus Sverige.
I guess that's the Netherlands.
Deutschland versus Côte d'Ivoire. We have Ecuador versus Corsu. This is an exciting game. Tunis versus Nihon.
That sounds racist. Is that racist? I don't know.
I think you could probably figure out which one Nihon is, right?
I feel like if I guess, that's going to be bad.
It's what they call themselves. Okay, I'm just going to keep running down. España versus Al-Mamlaka Al-Arabia As-Saudiya. That's what I've always called it. Belgique versus Iran. Uruguay versus Cabo Verde. New Zealand versus Masr. You know Masr? We've always called it Masr, right? With the pyramids, Masr. Like, why'd the pharaoh go to the dentist? Because he massered his tooth. Egypt, his tooth. Argentina versus Oostenrijk. La République Française versus El Iraq. Norge versus Senegal. We have Oz versus the world's greatest country.
Oh, I know that one. Australia against the United States.
To all the Turkish people, let me just say, I understand you don't want to be called the name that we call a fat bird that we eat at Thanksgiving. So you want us to call you Türkiye. And clearly, I'm on board. So please do not be mad at me in the comments. Teşekkürler for understanding.
Okay, so you saw the video. That video currently has 413,000 views on Instagram. And on TikTok, it has, which TikTok, I don't even use TikTok. I just post stuff on TikTok and then forget about it. On TikTok, it has 160,000 views. So over 500,000 people have watched this video. On TikTok, we're up to 16,000 likes, 300 comments, 688 shares. On Instagram, we are at 20,000 likes, 350 comments, 208 reshares, 7.8 thousand people have sent it to their friends or shared it on their stories, and 1,500 people have saved it. So 500,000 people have watched this video, and lots of people have liked it, enough to fill a stadium have liked it. And I don't know if you enjoyed it or not, but it is pretty crazy to see those numbers because I have, like 1,000 followers, 1,500. Well, I had like 1,300 followers on Instagram before this. I've gained about 200 followers from the video. And on TikTok, I have like no followers. I have like a few hundred. I don't use TikTok. I just post stuff and then I see what happens and the algorithm will pick it up or it won't. So pretty unbelievable numbers for my little social media stuff. And we could break down a little bit of why it's been successful, but just for background, if you don't understand what the video is about. So the World Cup's going on. All these different countries from, obviously all over the world are playing. And if you watch the games, the announcers will say, like, Germany is playing Curacao. Spain is playing Cape Verde. England is playing Croatia. All these things. They're saying the names of the countries as we use them, right? The sort of official names that we as English speakers have chosen for these countries, because that's how the audience understands it. But then there's a few countries, most notably Cote d'Ivoire, which is Ivory Coast. But this has been going on for a long time. There's been a long debate of Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast. They say, can you call us Cote d'Ivoire? Sometimes you'll see it where it'll still be called Ivory Coast. It almost depends on the announcer or the TV network or whatever. But the most notable is Türkiye, which is Turkey, the country of Turkey. We've always called it Turkey. It's been called Turkey for, I don't know, hundreds of years. I mean, obviously it was the Ottoman Empire, and then you have Kemal Ataturk, and all of that. I don't need to get into the history of that because I don't fully know it, and I know if I get it wrong, people will comment about it. But all that to say, it's been Turkey for a long time. But suddenly, it is now Türkiye. And it's because the country of Turkey basically went to the UN, I guess, and demanded, like, hey, everyone has to call us Türkiye now because we don't want to be Turkey because everyone associates us with the fat bird from the United States or really North America, I mean. And look, I kind of understand that, but here's the problem, and you will see it in the World Cup. This is why this is something that's kind of on people's minds. And I will admit, I'm not the first person to think of this like as a ridiculous thing. I saw a few videos where people kind of complaining about it, and so it sparked the idea of me doing this version of the video. But the problem is that, the proper pronunciation is something close to what I'm doing, which is Türkiye, right? You have to hit that Türkiye, and maybe even roll the R a little bit or something, Türkiye. But when you are speaking English, when you are commentating on a sports game and you're going, oh, that's a pass from so and so to so and so. Oh, maybe something like if you were saying, Türkiye needs to learn to score goals, or Türkiye should stop shooting from way outside the box, or I don't know. These are just random examples and have nothing to do with exactly the problem that Türkiye had, and why they've already been eliminated from the World Cup. But you're switching phonetics, right? Because we speak English, we have a certain set of phonetics that we use, and then you suddenly have to be hitting a version of speaking that we don't ever do, and it sounds really awkward. And so what you end up with, if you watch these games, you have basically is mostly British announcers, because we get mostly British announcers, but they'll be in the middle of talking, and then they'll say they don't do Turkiye, they just go and Turkiye. And Turkey needs to be better about shooting from outside the box. Turkey, and it sounds ridiculous because it's like, just call him Turkey. Turkey needs to blah blah blah, but they're saying Turkey, which is, I think, worse than just saying Turkey. And so it sounds very stupid, and that is why I made this video. And the idea of the video was to basically say, what if there was a guy who took that to the extreme and said every country by its proper name that they call it in that country, which we'll get to what that's actually called later. But how ridiculous would a person sound if they were doing this, right? That is the whole point of the video. And I think, 20,000 people on Instagram and almost 20,000 people on TikTok understood that. And maybe even many more understood the point of the video, which is, this is so stupid. There's a reason we have our own names for these countries so we can properly pronounce them in a natural sounding way. Without having to, be ridiculous. And what I did as, sort of the character of the person pronouncing all these names is I tried to be as accurate as possible, but I didn't spend hours studying these things. I don't know these other languages. I tried to just as accurately as an American can, without spending hours practicing or whatever, pronounce the names as I could see them on the screen. And some of them I literally, I mean, obviously, like if it's in Arabic or something, I have to look up the phonetic pronunciation, which may have helped because I've gotten probably the least amount of criticism on my Arabic pronunciations. But for the other ones, I just kind of went off what I know about maybe the pronunciations of those countries. So I got them somewhat right and somewhat wrong. And but it got a lot of comments, and so we're going to go through the comments because I think it kind of illuminates the frustration with when something is popular on the internet. The most annoying people are the ones who comment. And over the last few days, I've found myself getting frustrated by this like video that's like popping off that a lot of people love and people are laughing at, because I'm just thinking about how annoying these commenters are. And then I have to remember, like, oh, like, even just the stats I just read, I have 300 comments on basically TikTok and Instagram, so about 600 comments. 40,000 people have liked it. Um, 500,000 people have seen it. Other people, like way, way more people, have sent this to their friends or shared it, meaning mostly that they think it's funny. And a very small minority of people have actually commented and corrected me and been annoying, but I see that minority and that has bothered me. Now, it is not personal, and that's good, because if it was personal, I would probably just delete the video, because like it's I can't imagine like the hate that people are getting when they're actually being hated on the internet, because it is crazy how it affects your mentals. So yeah, so I'm going to go through some comments and I am going to respond to them here in ways that maybe I didn't respond to in the video. So I hate that I have my phone out, but that's just how we're going to do. So okay, here's the first one. The first thing that I should address. I said I looked up the pronunciation of the ones I didn't know, and then other ones I kind of riffed on, or I just had a good idea of how to do it. But there was one that I missed like really bad, and I will take responsibility for that, and that would be Sweden. Sweden is spelled Sverige, and I think it's supposed to be like Sverige. I don't know. Sverige, I think is what it is. but I wasn't paying attention to that one because they were playing the Netherlands, and the Netherlands has this ridiculous long name that means the Kingdom of the Netherlands. And so I was concentrating on all the different letters in there, all the J's and all the things, and it's something, Koninklijk and der Nederland or something. And I just then went right down to Sweden, and I for some reason said Sverige. I don't know why I did that, but I wasn't even thinking about that one because that's actually like a easier one, and I just didn't look it up, and I moved on. And so that has gotten a lot of comments and a lot of people from Sweden like, what the heck? Like, I've never heard it pronounced that way. And a lot of correction. And instead of just admitting my fault, I just said that I did that. Oh, well, and one person said, I was a little upset about you messing up Sweden, but then I got even more upset when you got Norway like exactly right, which is Norge. And so then I just doubled down on that and decided that I messed up Sweden just because I'm a fan of Norway, which I am a fan of Norway, longtime supporter of Norway, but I'm not Norwegian. I don't have Norwegian background. And that is not why I messed up Sweden, but I just doubled down on that and just started commenting Norwegian flags on people when they would correct me. And I did make a follow-up video, which I will share here in a minute. So that is one I did get wrong. I got it wrong, Uh, a little bit too many people correcting me on it, but I did get it wrong. And so I did make a follow-up video, which I will play now.
So yesterday I made a video in which I tried to pronounce a lot of the World Cup country names in the language that their people speak. And I got all of them exactly correct with no issues at all, except for the name of Sweden.
Versus Sverige.
I did get Norge correct, and that made people mad. And I want to make that up to my Swedish fans. I'm actually going to read the entire Swedish squad perfectly correctly in Swedish, and then I'm going to do the same thing for Norge because I want to be fair. Jacob Zetterström, Victor Johansson, Christopher Nordfeld, Gustav Lagerbilk, Victor Lindelof, Isaac Hein, Gabriel Goodmanson, Daniel Svensson, Hjalmar Ekdal, Carl Starfolt, Eric Smith, Herman Johansson, Lucas Bergvall, Ken Sema, Jesper Karlström, Yasin Arya, Matthias Svanberg, Besford Zenel, Elliot Stroud, Taha Ali, Alexander Isaac, Benjamin Nygren, Anthony Alanga, Viktor Gyökeres, Alexander Bernhardsson, Gustav Nilsson. Okay, now I'm going to do Norway. This is just a guess. Ørjan Nyland, Sander Tangvik, Egil Selvik, Kristoffer Eier, Leo Ostegård, David Møller-Wulfe, Fredrik Andre Bjørkan, Marcus Holmgren Pedersen, Torbjørn Heggem, Sondre Langas, Henrik Falconer, Julian Ryerson, Morten Torsby, Patrick Berg, Sander Berge, Martin Udegaard, Fredrik Aursnes, Christian Torsfeldt, Telo Ausgard, Antonio Nusa, Oscar Bob, Jens Peter Hauge, Alexander Sørloth, Erling Haaland, Jørgen Strand Larsen, Andreas Schjelderup. See, I don't know, either one of those. Hi, Norge.
Okay, so we see that. I'm not going to go much more in depth on the Sweden part of it. I will say that even the comments on that are annoying because, like somebody said, I started sounding Finnish while doing the Norwegians, as if I, an American who doesn't speak these Scandinavian languages, can in any way know the difference between that Finnish and a Norwegian accent while pronouncing Norwegian. Like, what is the expectation here of someone doing this, right? So that's that. So then other comments I've gotten that I think are very annoying is people explaining to me why turkey is called turkey and why the bird is called turkey. And that is annoying. And what I would say, and this goes for all of these comments, never explain anything to anyone on the internet, especially in the comments. I know I'm explaining something right now. This is my channel and my podcast, so I can do that. But don't explain stuff in comments. Nobody wants explanations in comments, and especially if a video is a clear comedy video, don't explain it. The whole point of the comedy video is to elicit laughter. There's things that I know that I did not put in the video because it was funnier, okay? So I don't need an explanation for why turkey is called turkey or the bird is called turkey. I put a disclaimer at the end explaining that I kind of know this already. I don't care. So somebody said the bird was named after the country, which is ironic because the bird is actually from Mexico. And I said Mexico is actually named after the U.S. state of New Mexico because I don't want people explaining anything to me on the internet. And so I will just explain something back to them that is stupid. Um, and then this is the really annoying thing. So in that video, I think I might have said the name of like 20 different countries in 20 different languages or several different languages with different pronunciations of every letter, every consonant, every vowel. In all these different languages differs slightly. I'm saying the names of things I've never heard before in my life. And then I'll get somebody like this guy, Blake X, who's like kind of butchered the hell out of Het Koninkrijk der Nederlanden. Why would I know how to say that? Dutch, by the way, of the major European languages, the dumbest one. It sounds like an English person who is drunk and stumbling over their words. And it's widely known as a difficult language to pronounce and a ridiculous language. So I'm sorry that I mispronounced a few of the letters in that name. That wasn't the point of the video. So then he gives me a semi-phonetic American pronunciation guide, and I don't care. So what I finally did was for a lot of these comments, I made a pinned video or pinned comment, and I just said, "Look, if you're gonna nitpick my pronunciations, here's what I want you to do: make a video of you as a foreign, non-American person saying the United States of America in an American Southern accent." Okay, because that's the level uh, of demand that's being put on me for this video by some of these people. Is like, I can hear someone say the United States of America in any accent, and I would never correct them and be like, it's actually states, stay. You say state, you don't say states. Or it's actually America. You go Ica, not America. Right? Like, I wouldn't care. I would not correct anyone for saying any of these things with a slight accent. And then people watch this video and they're like, man, this guy really, he wasn't able to go from Arabic to Dutch to French to German well enough for my tastes. So I'm going to go ahead and let him know the semi-phonetic pronunciation of Het Koninkrijk der Nederlanden. Shut up, Blake. And then we have, because in the video I say the U.S. is the greatest country on earth, and we have calling the U.S. the greatest country on earth is definitely not reading the room. Yeah, well, here's my response to that. I was the only one in the room. I read the room, and I thought that, and I wanted to say it. And it's the 250th anniversary birthday of America, so I'm going to say that. You don't have to agree. Why did you comment? And then this one I got a lot. This is such an annoying one. There is no lisp in España. I know. I speak Spanish. I know it's España. It's a joke. I made it into a joke for a comedy video. In Spain, they use a lisp on words with Z's and C's, like cerveza, or the town of Zaragoza, or the city of Barcelona. And I thought it would be funnier to say España. It is funnier. Objectively, much funnier if someone said España is playing versus Spain or España. But I got so many Spanish people or actually, honestly, these are probably Americans, but so many people actually, there's no lisp in España. And so what I said is there is if you have a lisp. Here's one of the only good comments. Someone said the simple solution is we change the name of the bird to Türkiye, which I thought is hilarious. So shout out to the Daily Makam, one of the only good comments. A lot of people explaining stuff to me that I don't need explained because I said Belgique, and BG Just Me said Belgium has 3 official languages, so it would be Belgique, Belgique, and Belgian. I don't care. I know. What do you want me to do? Say all 3 in this comedy video that needs to be less than 2 minutes long? Stop explaining stuff to me. So what I said is, I know, I usually call it by all 3 every time I reference it, just like I call Switzerland Schweiz, Swiss, Svizzera, and Svizzera every time I mention the country, because Switzerland has 4 official names and 4 official languages, but they weren't on the schedule, so I couldn't do that because I was just doing the next 2 or 3 days of games. And then we get, for Saudi Arabia, you only have to say the last word, as-Saudia. The S is not pronounced like a Z. I don't know if I pronounce the S like a Z. Why do I? That's not funny. It's funny to say whatever I said. That's funny. Just saying as-Saudia as opposed to Saudi Arabia is the same thing. And then we get Riley Cohen. This is my favorite. Why make this a back and forth with yourself? I said, those are clearly two different people. One is uncultured and one has perfect pronunciation skills and knowledge of international affairs. And then someone said, uh, oh, they were Tall Girl International was supporting me with more humor. She said, is this an all-American look-alike joke? Clearly, that's two different people. One of them has a mustache and the other one has a mustache and a hat, which I liked. Riley Cohen says, seems smug. Like you're talking to some unsophisticate rather than just saying the cool info you have, i.e., the names the countries call themselves. Are you in Mensa? If someone thinks that this video is about me providing cool information, they've completely missed the entire plot. None of the information I have is cool in that video. I'm making fun of something. And then Riley Cohen, someone said, are you new to the internet? To Riley Cohen. Riley Cohen says, it's also kind of funny that you think I'm saying why he talked to himself, as if I don't understand you're playing two characters. Come on. Maybe a better way to say this is, why did you choose to share the cool information you have as if it was a conversation between a dolt and a cosmopolitan... as if it was a conversation between a dolt and a cosmopolitan sophisticate. Why did you do that? You're a soccer fan, not a prince. First of all, no one's ever called me a cosmopolitan sophisticate before. I can't even say that. I can say Koninkrijke der Nederlander easier than I can say cosmopolitan sophisticate. And to Riley Cohen, I said, I'm sorry. It seems you've misinterpreted the video. The entire point is that I am, in fact, a prince. And then I got this comment a lot. And I did make a follow-up video to this, and that might have made it worse. But a lot of people say, why did you say, why not Aotearoa for New Zealand? Aotearoa. I don't know how to say this. First of all, that's one reason. It's spelled Aotearoa. That's too many vowels. Okay? And that is I guess, the indigenous name, the Maori name for New Zealand. And my response to that is, the video isn't about indigenous names. Okay? I didn't call the United States Turtle Island. All right? And a lot of people from Scotland said, oh, Scotland's Alba. That's the ancient, Scottish Gaelic name for Scotland. That's not what you call it. You don't tell people you're from Alba. Y'all aren't you're not singing Flower of Alba. You're singing Flower of Scotland. I know you probably use Alba colloquially and all of these things. And I guess in New Zealand, there's maybe a big controversy or whatever about people. They want to return it to Aotearoa because they don't want to be New Zealand or whatever. I don't care. Do what you want. That's not the point of the video. But I did double down. I did act kind of, jokingly like I was really upset about that because I wanted to try out my New Zealand accent. And I made a response video that I put on TikTok. But I didn't watch like New Zealand accent videos before I did it. I was just kind of going on memory, having not heard a New Zealand accent in a while. And I thought it was pretty good, and I posted it. And American people have been like, wow, this is a good accent. And I sent it to my Australian friend Brandon, and he gave me a 3 out of 10. And he gave me some pointers, and he was like, this is not even close. And I did have someone message me on Instagram and say, shocking attempt at a New Zealand accent, mate. Yeah, okay, sorry. Whatever. Aotearoa. I don't care. Stop telling me about Aotearoa. It's not called that. Your government doesn't call it that, okay? People might be saying that colloquially. People might be pushing for it. But I'm just making a video about, whatever. Stop telling me about Aotearoa. A lot of people pointed out, and this is true, a missed opportunity by not including Hrvatska, which is the name of Croatia. Croatia calls itself Hrvatska. They just weren't on the next few days of games, which that is one of my favorites. The other one is I'm just going to riff on this. I have no idea how you're supposed to pronounce it, but Hungary is actually called Magyarország, land of the Magyars. So the Hungarians do not call themselves Hungarians; they call themselves Magyars. Hungarian is literally one of the hardest languages to learn in the world, along with Finnish. So not even gonna try that one, but they didn't make the World Cup, so I couldn't include them. But yeah, a lot of people said you should have included Hrvatska, and I wish I could. They just when I was doing the video, they weren't on there. And then we get this. Actually, I'm gonna save that one for the end. Another person explaining the Koninklijk der Nederlander. They said actually that's the Kingdom of the Netherlands. That includes Aruba, Curacao, Saint Martin, all those things. So that would be like saying the United Kingdom, which in this context doesn't make sense because we have England and Scotland. We have the Netherlands and we have Curacao. Again, do not care. A lot of Australians told me that they don't call it Oz, which you could say that, but I've 100% heard a lot of people say Oz. So you can act like you don't call it that, but you do. A lot of people told me it's called Straya, and then they added the C word, which I wasn't going to do, and I'm still not going to. And Australians, look, I love Australians, but chill with the C word, guys. Um, Another correction on Koninkrijken der Nederlander, whatever. Um, I got a lot of corrections on calling Curacao Corsu. Uh, I guess people are saying it's more Corsao. But then also, I'm getting people telling me, no, it's this and this. And that is the whole point. There's a lot of different ways to pronounce a lot of these things. And there's a lot of debate. And there's papimiento and Dutch. And there's all these things. It's not the point of the video. So a lot of people have issues with my pronunciation of Corsu and saying it should be something else, and that's why we say Curacao. That's why we have a version that we say that we're comfortable with, and you guys recognize. That's the whole point of the video. Oh, another one of the only other comments that I did enjoy. Can we start calling countries by the names they self-identify as and stop dead naming them? I'm not going to explain that joke. That's a good joke if you know what dead naming is. I like that a lot. Um, Not enough people appreciated my Egypt is tooth joke, but some people did. And then I'm getting corrections on Masr. Some people saying it should be more Misr. However, I watched a video about how to pronounce it before I did it, and I'm pretty sure I got it right. And I've had other people say I did it well. That's the annoying part. Is a lot of these things I'm getting people from those countries going, "You did a good job," and then other people from those countries being like, "Actually." A big actually I've gotten, this is one I want to address. Brazil. I said Brazil. I said it like Spanish because, again, that was one I didn't really look up or practice. I would say I'm sorry, but I've been so annoyed by the amount of people correcting me that I'm not sorry. I pronounce it in Spanish. Same with Cabo Verde because I don't speak Portuguese, and Portuguese is a ridiculous language that sounds like a joke. It sounds like a German person trying to speak Spanish. They do dumb things with letters, like R's at the beginning of words have H's, like Ricardo or whatever. And apparently Verde was supposed to be Verge. Verde is supposed to somehow be Verge or something. But Brazil, they said, oh, no, no. Don't say Brasil. You say Brazil, Brazil, Brazil. I don't care. It's going to be Brazil from now on. You can just deal with that. Stop correcting me on that. Um, and so that is all the comments there. A lot of comments on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, with a lot of corrections. And finally, I found like the recently, like I think today or last night, somebody corrected me on the Brazil thing again, and I just said, do you think you're the first person to correct me on this? 500,000 people have watched this, and you think, oh, you know what? I bet he doesn't know that he pronounced Brazil a little bit wrong. Okay, thank you so much. Please keep doing that. Um, but the one thing I did want to talk about is like, so there's all this frustration with it, right? But it's also like, oh, this is really cool. Like, a lot of people thought this was funny. I made a lot of people laugh. That's the whole point. I gained 200 followers on Instagram and a lot on TikTok just from making one video and then the follow up video and all these things. And that's really exciting. And it makes me kind of want to keep doing some of those things. It also makes me not, because it like does consume a lot of my time and my phone battery and my mental energy to like respond to comments. And you're supposed to respond to comments. And so I do sometimes, sometimes I don't. But I also like, so one of the people that I really love to follow on uh Instagram is Kev on Stage. Very funny guy, great comedian. And he posts, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 videos a day. Um different levels of preparation and production quality. Sometimes he's just riffing on stuff. Sometimes it's actually a skit. But he has basically built his entire career using social media. And he's a really, really funny stand-up comedian. And he sells, lots of tickets, and he's really great at that. But he has built a huge audience, millions of followers on all social media. And he will sometimes do like background, behind the scenes tip videos. And he did one time that I've always kept in mind, where he showed the numbers of his posts, and he said like, so this video that went viral on Instagram, I posted it on YouTube and TikTok and whatever. And he goes, on Instagram it got a million views, on TikTok it got a million views, on YouTube it got 5,000 views. He's like, then I posted this other video on Instagram, it got like 10,000 views. YouTube, it got 10 million views, and TikTok, it got 5 million views or whatever. And he was just basically like, there is no way to predict what the algorithm will do. You don't know what's going to happen. You just got to post on all these platforms. Just post on every platform and let the algorithm work the way it works, and you'll see what happens. And this is a perfect example, because normally when I post my stand-up clips, Instagram does okay, sometimes terribly, sometimes decent. TikTok, okay, sometimes really good, most of the time okay, sometimes absolutely nothing. Right? If you make the algorithm mad in other ways. YouTube, almost always pretty good. Almost always on YouTube, within a day or two, I have 2 or 3,000 views. I have 50 likes. It's better than the other platforms. So when I posted this one on all three, I thought YouTube's going to take off. I don't know about the other two, but I had an idea that this would be a popular video, but I didn't know which platform would be good, but I knew YouTube would be good. And it turns out YouTube stinks with this video. I mean, only a few thousand views, 8 comments, 20 likes. Nothing, right? Like just nothing on YouTube. And that was a surprise, because YouTube, again, that's like my platform, right? Like, not that I built a big audience on it, but I know that the numbers are going to be good on a YouTube video. And for some reason, this time they were really bad. They were very, very bad compared to the other platforms. And the lesson is, again, just like Kev on Stage said, always, always, always post on every platform and just let it work, and try to build in balance for yourself, so you're not just on the platforms all the time being obsessed with them. Just post, respond to some comments, do whatever, but don't obsess over it, but just put it out there and see what happens. And don't try to make everything into oh man, I suck because the algorithm didn't like it. Because if I had only put that on YouTube, I'd be like, wow, I spent a little time on that video and nobody liked it. And now, like with the other platforms, I'm like, I didn't even spend that much time on it for how good it's done. I've spent way more time on other things that people don't like at all. And I don't know if it's because the algorithm or because they're not good. It's impossible to know. So the final comment I'm actually going to get into in the Wiki Wonder section, because it will we'll do a little education on what this whole country name thing is all about. And so I will wrap up the story there. This has been Sunroom Storytime story number 14. Okay, so it's time for Wiki Wonder. And if you are new to the podcast, Wiki Wonder is a section of the podcast where I go through what I've been reading on Wikipedia that week, because I'm always on some random Wikipedia page. And so we've learned about all kinds of random things, from British gangsters to pirates, and all kinds of, caves, giant sloths, stuff like that. But today we'll be a little bit more pointed because one of the comments I got was a very condescending comment very early on in this video being posted. And it was like, ever heard of an exonym? Ever heard of an exonym? As if like the point of the video was that I didn't understand what the issue with the names of the countries was, which is a complete misreading of the entire point of the video. And because I was feeling sassy, I was like, literally, no. That's all I said. No, I haven't. You're acting like, oh, you should have heard of an exonym. And I was just like, I haven't. So stop talking to me. Which he then, this was David George Jr. who wrote this. He then took that as me asking for an explanation. And again, don't explain anything to anyone in the comments. Just don't. It takes no time at all for me to figure out what exonym means, right? Nym means name, exo means outward. It's the outward name a country wants to be named. Endonym, endemic, right? To yourself. Nym, name. It's the name you want yourself to be called. It's obvious, okay? I didn't need an explanation. I don't need you to use this term to try to like throw it around like you're smarter than me. The whole point of the video was that I understand this. And Turkey obviously doesn't. And that's why they're making everyone call them by their endonym. But if I use the word endonym in a comedy video, nobody laughs, right? So anyway, we will get into endonym, exonym. Endonym, like I said, the common self-chosen native name for a group of people or an individual person or place. It's native in the sense that it is used inside that particular group. The exonym is the foreign established non-native name for a group of people or an individual person. You know what? This is boring. Let's do Wiki Wonder on turkeys. Turkey bird. Turkey, parentheses, bird, not country. They're large, heavyset galliforms. Indigenous to the Americas, they are among the largest birds in their native range. There are two types of turkeys. The wild turkey, that's like the one in the United States. And then there's the ocellated turkey, very pretty one, in the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. Okay, so the name turkey is a shortening of the turkey cock and turkey hen, and it was denoted for the guinea fowl, which is an African bird that the turkeys of North America are not really related to, but people basically they just like put the name of the guinea fowl that they were calling turkey onto the birds here in North America. Why were they called turkey? Because the guinea fowl were imported to Europe through Turkey, and people in Europe thought they were from the country of Turkey. So the country, as was explained many times in the video, which I already knew, as was explained many times in the video, the bird is named after the country. But over time, we have become more familiar with the bird because we like to eat it at Thanksgiving. And so now we think it's funny that there's a country that is named after the bird. And in fact, the bird is not even native to that country. That's hilarious. Any other interesting things on the turkey? Oh, of course, Benjamin Franklin thought the turkey should be our national bird instead of the bald eagle. So that's fun. Does that even say that in the Wikipedia page? I don't know. No, it doesn't. So take that out of the Wiki Wonder. Yeah, Benjamin Franklin thought the turkey should be our national bird instead of the bald eagle. And Benjamin Franklin, he liked to eat. He had gout. So obviously he liked turkey better than bald eagle because bald eagles probably aren't very tasty. And that's Wiki Wonder. This has been a really contentious episode of the podcast. So I want to win you back. Please buy a shirt. Please come to my shows. I'm going to say them again. Carrollton, Georgia, Carver Events Center, June 26th. Comedy Catch, July 9th. That's in Chattanooga. Mount Juliet, Billy Goat Coffee, July 10th. Plano, Texas. Mic Drop Plano, July 21st. July 24th, 25th, I'm with Big Rich Brock in Ringgold, Georgia, and Cartersville, Georgia. And then the end of the month, July 31st, August 1st, I'm with Crystalia at the Louisville Comedy Club. Excited about that. Come out to shows, comment on my video, and if I make other videos, comment on those and be really contentious and explain things to me. I love having things explained to me. But this has been a very contentious episode of Sunroom Storytime.